Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns. In collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations and celebrations. Today, 18th October, we are celebrating World Menopause Day internationally, which is observed on October 18th every year to raise awareness about the impact, the condition that has on the lives of women around the world. Despite affecting about half of the world's population, menopause isn't talked about as much as it should be. Observing the day is also an opportunity to encourage further medical research on the condition. So, World Menopause Day was established in 1984 by the World Health Organization, WHO, and the International Menopause Society, IMS, with the intention of spreading awareness about condition that affects women as they age. Menopause is a term used to describe the nature, decline of women's reproductive hormones beginning between the age of 45 and 55, when the body experiences its last menstrual cycle. Common symptoms of menopause include hot flashes, night sweats, mood changes, and sleep disturbances. All of these symptoms can result in an increase in anxiety and depression. After menopause, women are more at risk of developing conditions like heart disease and osteoporosis. Most treatments for menopause focus on symptomatic relief as it's a normal part of aging and as such is not a curable condition. The condition that has been studied as much as it should be and is not discussed openly, having a World Menopause Day was seen as a solution to these problems by encouraging conversation and research on menopause and its effects. As people worldwide are living together, more and more women are likely to undergo menopause. It's important that we are prepared for the effects that might happen as a result of menopause so that we can live better, healthier lives. So the International Menopause Society is born in 1978 as it was established by Rodney Barber during Second International Congress on Menopause in Jerusalem. The World Health Organization and the IMS choose October 18th as a date to raise awareness and support women undergoing menopause in 1980. Fully self-funded, the NAMS dedicated to understanding menopause is established in 1989. North American Menopause Society was founded. October is declared as World Menopause Month. The IMS decides that since local societies couldn't easily organize awareness related activities on one day, the whole month would be dedicated to spreading their awareness about menopause in 2020. So, women are experiencing menopause, endure a number of unpleasant symptoms like lack of sleep and hot flashes, which directly affect their productivity and quality of life. Menopause affects women around the time that they reach 40 to 58 years of age. There are a number of lifestyle changes that can help with menopausal symptoms, including balanced diet, taking medication, and limiting certain triggers. But further research is needed for us to understand the condition better, which is why observing World Menopause Day is also important. Consider sharing medical information freely available with the International Menopause Society with people who will undergo menopause. Work with your community leaders to organize a talk about menopause by knowledgeable healthcare providers. If you know someone who is experiencing menopause, be patient and understanding and ask them to share their experience. When a woman's ovaries stop functioning normally before she reaches 40 years old, signifying early menopause, it is referred to as primary ovarian insufficiency. Menopause can increase the risk of diseases. The changing hormone levels at this time can leave the body vulnerable to heart diseases and some cancers. Sleeplessness is the most common symptom. Research indicates that 94.5% of women experiencing menopause reported being sleepless during this time. Perimenopause is when the body is preparing for menopause, can start up to 10 years before menopause, and this is a transition period to menopause. After the premenopausal phase, most women report feeling better than they have in years. So people around the world are still unable to discuss menopause, even though it is a completely natural subject of women's health. With perimenopause starting up to a year before menopause, the symptoms and discomfort of menopause can affect women for more than a decade. There isn't sufficient medical research available. It's only lately that active medical research is being conducted on menopause and related symptoms. Today is also commemorated as Right to Work Day in Australia, which is celebrated on October 18th every year to encourage biking, as the majority of Australians do not get any physical activity to keep their health in good shape. Cities are jammed with traffic congestion. This hurts the environment and costs society billions of dollars in lost productivity each year. This day was intended to encourage people to get out of their cars and ride bicycles. Cycling to work is one of the most convenient and time saving modes of transportation. By riding a bike instead of driving, taking the train, or taking the bus, you can get daily workout without having to travel to the gym. Senator Janet Rice, who worked for Bicycle Victoria, later known as Bicycle Network, organized a small event in Melbourne in 1993 to encourage more people to ride bicycles. Only 615 people rode bikes in the first event. Now it attracts tens of thousands of first time returning riders each year. Every capital city in Australia provides free bicycle breakfast for anyone who chooses to join. To keep riders energized throughout the day, there's normally give free cooked breakfast, coffee, and bananas. Some places even had DJs performing during their breakfast to maintain the easygoing feeling of going all morning. Today is also commemorated as National Speak Up for Victims of Sexual Abuse in US. Observed on October 18th every year, this day is dedicated to raising awareness about the horrors of sexual abuse. Men, women, and children, anyone can be a victim of sexual assault. While it's common for sexual abuse to go unreported, victims suffer greatly as a result. Acknowledging these victims and helping them in opening up about their experiences promotes healing. This day is an essential part of a larger effort to support all victims of sexual abuse. Today is also commemorated as National No Beard Day in US. For those men who are part of No Beard Resistance is a bearded bird, where No Beard Day on October 18, shaving off your local facial hair is a fast way to change your look. Going clean shaven could give you a totally new look on life, land you the job, or completely change your dating pool. There were numerous reasons for cutting those beards. It sounds gross today, but those large, lush beards that were commonplace in paintings and photographs were also breeding grounds for parasites like lice who do not, maintain them properly. Generally, people who don't take bath regularly, that is daily, as required. So, where it can be a ground for breeding of various parasites. So, especially those men who work together in close partners without an opportunity to regularly take a bath. So, when a man spotted a clean look sans beard, women took that as a sign that this person practiced good hygiene and could be a marriage material. So, entered the Gillette company in 1904 with its safety razor, which encouraged men to take their beards in their own shaky hands to remove excess facial hair. No need to find a barber when you could do the job yourself. Eventually, men were looking for the ways to keep the hair off for longer periods of time. By 1930, Jacob Schick introduces the electric razor, the Schick dry shaver, and another milestone in the hairy history of men's hygiene was surpassed. Today is also commemorated as National Mammography Day in US. Occurring every third Friday of October, National Mammography Day is a cousin to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They are both committed to women's self-care, but this day is set aside especially to encourage women to take time to make an appointment. Early detection means early treatment and the difference between life and death. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. And although only 1% of men get diagnosed with the affliction, it is important that they too are educated on the disease. Breast cancer doesn't discriminate, so make sure to self-check your breast tissue regularly, regardless of your gender. A mammography is a technique using low-energy X-rays to detect calcification, which is a sign of the beginning stages of breast cancer. In the late 1950s, Robert Egan developed an innovative method to screen mammograms for the first time. In 1959, he published his results and later released a book called Mammography in the early 1960s. His contribution began to be known as the Egan technique and allowed doctors to detect hardening masses within the breast tissues. When getting a mammogram, the breast is compressed by a mammography unit. This compression evens out the thickness of the breast tissue to decrease the amount of scattered radiation and prevent blurring from motion. Women are discouraged from wearing deodorant, lotion, or talcum powder during these screenings as they may show up on the x rays as calcium spots. The procedure is said to be painful or highly uncomfortable, which is the main reason many women might not return or schedule continuing exams. There are currently over 3.1 million survivors in the United States alone, living due to early detection technologies like mammograms. It is recommended that women aged 40 and up schedule their mammography appointments biannually. However, if women are at higher risk for breast cancer, they are encouraged to schedule their appointments annually instead. Factors that may increase the risk of breast cancer include heavy smoking, excessive drinking, or a family history of breast cancer. There are also ways women can decrease their chances of being afflicted with breast cancer, such as moderating alcohol intake, avoiding cigarettes, exercising regularly, and maintaining a healthy diet. So Albert Solomon, a surgeon in Berlin, used an X-ray machine to see the breast cancer in 3,000 mastectomy samples in the West in 1913. A German doctor detected breast cancer with X-ray machine. Robert Egan, a Houston-based radiologist, introduced specialized film for mammograms, resulting in better imagery and details in 1956. Zero mammography was commercially introduced as a method for providing better image quality of the chest wall for commercial use in 1971. Congress passed legislation providing funding for annual mammography screening as a Medicare benefit in 1988. The FDA, the regulating agency for mammography, approved the first full-fledged digital mammography system in 2000. So, as Breast Cancer Awareness Month is celebrated annually during the month of October, take the time to get educated on breast cancer and learn what you can do to decrease chance of being diagnosed. Depending on your healthcare plan, you might not have to pay a deductible to receive a mammography. Also, some Planned Parenthood affiliates have free mammography vans for low income and uninsured women. Some women feel pain during the procedure while others feel nothing at all. This discomfort of the process comes from the fact that the mammography unit has to compress the breast in order to evenly distribute the tissue. So if you have been procrastinating out of fear or simply denial that you actually are 40, set aside time to make an appointment on October 18th. Keep in mind that out of every 1,000 women who get screened, about 100 are asked to do another mammography or ultrasound imagery. 20 women will be referred for a biopsy, and only 5 are diagnosed with breast cancer. Even with abnormal mammogram, there is a high chance cancer has not been detected. Do a breast self-exam. Now the time to renew your commitment to monthly self-exams or even a fortnightly exam. Call your doctor or nurse practitioner for an appointment to show you a correct way to do one. You can also do it online. Search for pictures or infographics that will walk you through the process. After all, it's your body. Show it some love. Pink is the official color of breast cancer awareness, which includes National Mammography Day. Proudly wear your pink ribbon in honor of friends, loved ones, or in awareness of breast cancer in general. It may seem like a little thing, but for the breast cancer survivors, it means they are not alone in their struggle. Yearly and biannually mammograms can be dangerous for women under 40, which is why it is recommended to only begin the process once this age minimum is reached. Once a woman reaches the age of 40, the benefits of mammograms far outweigh the risks. If you have dense breast tissue, a traditional mammogram may have trouble detecting the breast cancer. Mammograms do have some limitations. Mammograms are important for the race to early detection. However, they do not prevent breast cancer. 3D mammography or tomosynthesis is the most modern screening tool for breast cancer detection, allowing physicians to access better images of dense breast tissue than with traditional machines. So 3D mammograms can see through dense breasts. If you have breast implants, they won't hinder a physician's view of your natural tissue. You can get screened with implants. With annual and biannual mammograms, women over age 40 promote their own self-care. Mammograms are non-invasive X-ray images of each breast that doctors review for anomalies that may indicate cancer. Unfortunately, many women are afraid to take their mammogram appointments for the fear of radiation and breast discomfort during the exam. But fear not, because the procedure takes only 20 minutes. Early detection screening has successfully reduced the US breast cancer mortality rate by almost 40%, according to the National Cancer Institute. That once a year mammogram is so effective that it can reveal breast changes up to 2 years before either a patient or their doctor can tell them or feel them. In most cases, you don't need a doctor's permission to make your mammogram appointment. As long as you are over age 40, you can refer yourself to a facility. Make sure the facility is certified by regulating agency, including FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and other certifying authorities. Bring copies of previous mammograms with you, especially if you are using this facility for the first time. Today is also commemorated as end of Buddhist Lent Day in Laos, which typically falls on full moon day in October. This year it is observed on October 18th in Laos. Locals call it Baun Ak Phansa, where they perform traditional rituals and engage in festivities. The ceremony marks the end of 3-month hiatus for Buddhist monks who return from meditation retreats. During this time, monks aren't allowed to leave the pagoda under which they meditate, as they are bound to be indoors. Locals bring them food in the morning, along with daily necessities such as toothbrush, towels, soap, and slippers. The origin of Buddhist Lent dates back to 5th century. On the first day of waning moon in the 8th month, monks took a vow to say in a particular place for 3 months. This is as per a norm established by Lord Buddha as it rains heavily in Laos from July to September. Traveling monks take shelter from storms in pagodas and monasteries. During this period, monks are meant to study the Buddhist doctrines and in turn preach them to commoners. So they are forbidden to leave the premises or spend the night at a different location. The rules not apply to monks, as Buddhist followers are expected to refrain from drinking alcohol or taking drugs over these 3 months. Locals gather at monasteries to listen to sermons from the monks and practice meditation. The last day of Buddhist Lent usually falls in October, marking the end of the annual retreat for the monks. Various festivities take place on the day, from candlelight procession to boat races. People like from Laos gather along the Mekong River to set banana leaves decorated with flowers and candles afloat. There is a local belief that mythical water dragons called Nagas live in the Mekong and they shoot fireballs on the last night of Buddhist Lent. Visitors from all over Laos crowd the river banks to watch this spectacle. By listening to the sermons and abiding by the precepts, commoners are supposed to garner knowledge about Buddhism and understand its principles better way, in a way the tradition is meant to spread awareness about the religion, about the followers, so that they can practice it correctly. Day is also commemorated as Healthcare Aid Day in Canada, created by the government of Manitoba, Canada, to honor healthcare aides. Since these talented professionals work around the clock in a variety of situations, from acute care to home, community, and residential care, they are ever present caregivers for the sickest and needful portions of the population. There were about 8,000 healthcare aides in Manitoba, but that number has grown much larger in recent years. In any public healthcare system, healthcare aides are indispensable. This week is commemorated as United Nations Week from October 18 to 24. This day has been celebrated annually since 2003, presently made up of 193 member states, including the Philippines. The UN has evolved throughout the years to keep up with ever-changing world, but its work is still guided by the principles held within its founding charter. It is one place of earth where all nations can come together, discuss problems, and find solutions that benefits everyone. The year 1945 in San Francisco, California, representatives of 50 countries met the United Nations Conference on the International Organization from April 25th to June 26th, just before the end of the World War II. They drafted and signed the UN Charter after 2 months, creating a new international organization called the United Nations. It aimed to maintain international peace and security, protect human rights, uphold international law, as well as extend humanitarian assistance. More than 75 years later, the UN is involved in setting sustainable development goals for more sustainable future for everyone. Action to limit global warming has also been agreed upon by the UN member states. The Philippines was one of the original member states and one of the only four Asian nations that signed the charter signaling the start of the UN. It was also one of the The Philippines was one of the original member states and one of the only four Asian nations that signed the charter signaling the start of UN. It was also one of the co-founders of the G77 coalition in 1964 that helped promote collective economic interest in the UN. The organization evolved into the Intergovernmental Group of 24 on International Monetary Affairs and Development, or G24. For over 7 decades, the Philippine government has partnered with the UN through different programs and commitments, such as the International Convention on the Protection of Rights of All Migrant Workers and Members of their Families, and the Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs. The country also consistently sends peacekeepers to the UN, and its office employs a huge number of Filipinos. The UN also assists the country during calamities and helps raise funds for various causes. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us. Before leaving, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls. See you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Good night. The feedback form has been raised in the form of polls.